So recently, a YouTuber I've talked about before, Styxhexenhammer666, really long name by the way, did a video against single-payer healthcare, and I am going to debunk that video. Now, in it he says that it would cost too much. However, the actual accuracy of the reports is, we currently spend, I believe, $49 million on healthcare. That's more than every other modern nation. And in fact, we spend more of it on the individual, so you can't just say, oh, well, they have smaller populations. No. Even adjusting for population, we spend more. Single payer would cost us $32 million, which is less. That's about a $17 million cut right there. So Stephen Hexenhammer should be supporting that if he is truly against government spending, because we just cut $17 million. He also talks about how the healthcare would be worse. However, as I have mentioned several times on this channel, that is actively untrue. 30 countries. We are 31st in life expectancy. The only country that is above us that doesn't have any form of single payer is Switzerland. And they have a much smaller population, so really it's kind of... If we're going to say universal healthcare only works because, oh, it's a smaller population, then we're going to have to cut out Switzerland from small government categories due to how small its population is and how isolated it's been, and how isolated it is in general. So comparing things to Switzerland is actually extremely misleading at best, and their banking system is much better, and it gives them a step up above us, not down. Now, don't get me wrong, Switzerland is the one place where all the stars did somehow align, and we managed to create a, not full-on anarcho-capitalist, since there is taxation in Switzerland, but they did create basically a more right-wing libertarian utopia. So, congratulations, but can we please talk about the 29 other countries I mentioned? Please? And so, the last thing he does... Because a lot of it is more just how government gets in bed with corporations, which I agree with. In fact, if you actually look at it, Adam Ruins Everything covered this. How it wasn't even really government who ruined it. It was health insurance industries when they were trying to get discounts. So they forced hospitals to raise the prices to just these absurd amounts. Like a $1 IV bag can cost over $100 in some hospitals, to encourage you to buy insurance, because it's not the government getting in with the insurance industries, it's the hospitals getting in bed with the insurance industries. Adam Ruins Everything did a brilliant segment on this I'd recommend watching. So the last thing Stephen Hexenhammer really has to appeal to is emotional arguments, but remember, emotion is the only thing the left does. Meanwhile, this man who is on the right-wing libertarian spear, because let's be honest, Stephen Hexenhammer is actually pretty close to the more right-wing libertarian spears than he is left-wing. You know, and that is that universal healthcare is slavery, that we're enslaving the medical establishment. And I think I heard Rand Paul say this talking point once, and it just sounded so... Are you a malfunctioning robot? Because that point doesn't make any sense. No! If you're a doctor in those countries, you can still leave. You don't have to treat anyone. You just won't be a doctor anymore. If you are being enslaved, you have to do that. It's the only way you can do anything. If you're going to tell me universal healthcare is enslaving doctors, then you also have to, by default, accept that there's such a thing as wage slavery. And at that point, you're nothing more than a Marxist. If you are a slave, you have to do that work. If you are a doctor under universal healthcare, you can still leave. You're just not a doctor anymore. You know, it's basically going, I want to use magic rainwater on patients. No. Slavery! What? That just doesn't make any sense at all. But anyway, that's it. I'm Ephrom, and good night.